And a good Tuesday morning to you, Central Georgia. Thanks for tuning in here on 13 WMAZ Plus for a look at your extended forecast. We haven't seen very much change over the last 24 hours about our forecast pertaining to this week, but we do have a couple of things to talk about, specifically one day as we head throughout the end of your work week, which will be Thursday. But first things first, let's talk about yesterday's rainfall. Very scattered in nature and really only impacting mainly our northernmost counties. Some pockets did get up to about 2, maybe 2.5 inches of rain up in Jasper and Putnam counties. That's where you're actually going to see your shades of some darker blue, maybe some green. Most of central Georgia did not luck out with much. Down here on the corner of Wilcox and Dodge County, just 1/10 of an inch. Areas just around Cochran, maybe about 3/10. Half an inch over in Wilkinson County, and not even enough to measure a trace right here just to the northeast of Ellaville and Macon County. Have this other very light blue shaded area along the line of Peach County and Houston County, really along that I-75 corridor. But overall, not much rain was to be seen yesterday, and anything that did occur up here in our northernmost counties, there were some thunderstorms up there, and that really started to happen later into the evening, more so into the nighttime hours. But this is going to kind of become more of the normal, at least for today and for tomorrow. I do believe maybe the rain chances are a little bit better today as opposed to yesterday, but kind of picking at straws. You're really going to have a good likelihood of staying dry once again. So scattered showers and storms continue to be the name of the game. Afternoon into the night is the main timing of them. And also, we are just going to continue to crank up the heat. While temperatures right now aren't as warm as they will be heading into next week, the humidity will be more of a factor throughout the next couple of days. We saw that yesterday, or rather I should say you felt that yesterday with numbers in the heat indices that were approaching the upper 90s, near the triple digits. Didn't get to tune into the evening show last night, but I'm sure when Ben was popping up that graphic, there was probably a triple digit or two in some isolated areas. So cloud cover has been the name of the game so far this morning. We did get a pretty good glimpse of the sunrise, but then some fog built into the forecast, and a lot of that low-level cloud cover is just continuing to rise up. So it is a scattered field of cumulus, no matter where you go skycam-wise, not even getting a peek of sunshine really on any of our skycams. We can see a little bit off here in the distance as you take a trip down First Street in downtown Macon. So partly cloudy skies are what we're dealing with as we're heading into the rest of the late morning hours. The good news, visibility is back to just about where it should be for this time. We did see plenty of dense fog. Thomaston and Butler, the visibility got limited to maybe just a couple hundred feet ahead of you, and that fog did stretch a little bit farther over to the east. We could get a glimpse of it from the Georgia National Fairgrounds earlier this morning. Didn't quite make its way over to Perry, Warner Robins, areas in northern Houston County, and downtown Macon. We didn't see much in the way of low-level cloud cover. We'll continue to look out for that each and every morning, and if you do receive something in the way of rainfall, and it does continue to stay on the ground, then obviously that's going to lead to maybe some fog formation each and every morning, just because we have temperatures and dew point temperatures that are virtually the same. So 100% relative humidity, and those low-lying areas withstanding bodies of water are going to be more susceptible to some low-level cloud cover formation. Here's a look at your temperatures. 80s, 82s, 83s, 84s in Vidalia and Rochelle right there. We do have one area still hanging out in the upper 70s, and that would be Thomaston over to the west. Otherwise, actually, no, now that I look at it, Roberta at 79 degrees too. Nonetheless, everyone is warming up accordingly, even despite some of the scattered cloud cover that we do have. Our neighbors down to the south, especially Florida, 87 and 86 in Panama City and Jacksonville, 84 in Orlando, so not too far off what our temperatures are. Areas all along the Gulf Coast hanging out in the 80s already. Montgomery also hanging out at 82 degrees, 86 in Charleston. So everyone on the eastern half of the United States virtually feeling the same. We still see some 70s and some 60s, and some of those 60s up there in Kansas, more than likely due to some rain-cooled air, because that's where a big-time severe weather risk is today, a level 4 out in Kansas. So thankfully that's not happening down here in the south and the southeast. But we still have plenty of our muggy air that we can wear present all across the area. You can see dew point temperatures here in the upper 70s. How about 80 and 82 down in Unadilla and Cordele? So it is very swampy no matter where you are heading out the door currently at this hour, and we're just going to continue to keep that muggy air that you can wear all afternoon long. So you're definitely going to see a pretty big inflation on the feels like temperatures. This is the highest values that I have seen doing this stream at this time so far, and these numbers are only going to climb. How about feeling like the low 90s up here in the north and northeastern counties, 94 in Dublin, 94 in Unadilla, 95 in Rochelle and McRae, 99 already is what it feels like down in Cordele, really close to the triple digits, and it's not even 11 a.m. already. Everyone else is still feeling a couple degrees warmer, somewhere in the upper 80s or near 90 degrees. So it's going to be a hot and a humid afternoon here in central Georgia. You're going to be rooting for some rain after maybe about 10 to 15 minutes outside with feels like numbers like that. I was talking about it this morning. We are going to see a steady breeze today. Plenty of blue color on this winds and wind gust map, so we do have a pretty steady breeze, anywhere from about 5 to 8, maybe even 9 miles per hour in some spots. Some occasional gusts will get up to 15, maybe 20 miles per hour, but I do believe a steady breeze, consistently blowing maybe near about 10 miles per hour, will continue to build in. Very widespread across central Georgia today, so at least we do have a little bit of the breeze to combat the blistering hot heat. However, it's really just kind of blowing some of that muggy air right back in your face. So not too much relief, but it is feeling mighty pleasant if you are riding around maybe with your windows down. It's a day that you're probably going to want to stay indoors, or just make sure that you are staying hydrated when you are outside. Here's a look at the satellite and radar picture. Cloud cover is very scattered as of right now, so we're not getting a good depiction of it on the satellite and radar image. Taking a look at the state of Georgia as a whole, some showers down to the south and the southwest. We could see those creep up into our vicinity here fairly shortly. But a pretty active picture over in states like Alabama, more so Mississippi right now. A couple of scattered showers, maybe even a storm or two. I'm not quite sure that they're going to make their way directly eastward. Everything that we're continuing to get is from the southwest and moving up to the northeast. So I do believe these showers and storms may start impacting areas of northern Alabama into Tennessee, but we're going to get our own fetch of moisture from down towards the Gulf. Across the Panhandle, we'll look at some of this activity right on the very western end of the Panhandle to start to creep up into central Georgia this afternoon, but scattered rain chances still is what we're looking at. So let's go hour by hour, temperature-wise. This is the actual temperatures, not what it feels like outside. And remember, this meteogram does typically undershoot it. It's really banking on some cloud cover and some rain as we head into the afternoon hours. 86 and then 87 is the highest that this meteogram has us topping out at. And then it looks like it's picking up on maybe some rain trying to cool us down as we head into about 4 to 5 p.m. So if we go according to that, what should our heat index be today? Well, seeing some values in the mid-90s. We're seeing values that are already at those values, and we're not even into that peak daytime heating so far. So I do believe we're going to overshoot this graphic as well. Upper 90s and a couple of triple digits for the heat indices today, and maybe a little bit of a reprieve in them tomorrow. We'll have to see how it stands, but hot and humid, feeling like the triple digits for one of the first times this year. I do believe some areas were probably feeling like it yesterday, but we haven't seen that triple digit number pop up too much. Besides really on the almanac that I showed the prior days. 100 was the record yesterday, set back in 2022, so only about 3 years ago. We were right on par with our average high though, 91 degrees, and then our average low about 68 degrees this time of year. We were hovering a little bit above that. We've been hovering over the 70s for the last couple of mornings. We didn't record any rain at Middle Georgia Regional Airport yesterday, however. So our year departure of rain is now down to about 3 3/4 of an inch above where we should be. That number was up to about 3.9 inches yesterday, closer to 4 inches above where we should be. So we could use definitely a little bit of a break in the rain. We got plenty of a cushion to get that number in the positive direction. We could go through a dry spell of about a week or two, and hopefully that would dry out most of the soil and really eliminate some of the flash flooding concerns and allow for your flowers to get some much needed sunshine without just drink and drink after water. However, we are still going to have rain chances each and every day, but the good news is they are going to be fairly scattered, so hopefully that you can duck and dodge one throughout the next couple of days. Sunrise was at 6:26 yesterday, sunset was at 8:44. Don't believe those changed from the day prior on Sunday, so those times are going to start to be set in stone for the next couple of days. Like I said, that first day of summer is going to be on Friday, and then as we go into Saturday, that's going to be the longest day of the year in terms of daylight, and I'll break that down for you and make a graphic later on. It's been a little bit of a hectic morning so far. So more rain chances today and a breezy afternoon. Like I said, the winds are just going to be a little more widespread as compared to isolated within maybe some thunderstorms or a stronger thunderstorm. But the rain chances are still going to be there. Pretty similar forecast to yesterday. Very scattered in nature, a better likelihood that you stay dry as opposed to receiving some rain. 91 degrees for a high temperature, so this is quite literally a rinse and repeat forecast from yesterday, at least in terms of the numbers. It's just we're going to build in a bit of a steady breeze out of the south and the southwest throughout this afternoon. Sunrise this morning was at 6:27 a.m., so that sunrise got about a minute earlier. So we may be already seeing the daylight hours shift a little bit. I'll have to go and do some digging on that. I'm pretty certain that the longest day of the year is going to be on Saturday, so we may still see that sunset get a minute or two later into the weekend. So going into this afternoon, just past lunchtime, here come the showers, mainly just seeing some greens, maybe a couple of reds and a couple of yellows in nature. That's just going to indicate some slightly heavier rainfall rates. Not going to be those sprinkles, those drizzles, but still very scattered in nature. It's a little bit of a better rain chance than yesterday, just really kind of covering the bases. It's obviously going to kind of creep into our neck of the woods as opposed to just clipping our northernmost counties like the showers and the storms did yesterday. But still, overall, nothing really too impressive. Going into the nighttime hours, activity calms down, and then we are left with a dry start to our Wednesday morning. Let's hope this continues to come to fruition and getting this clearing over to the east so we can see that beautiful sunrise like we did get a glimpse of this morning. Just past lunchtime, activity starts to sprout up once again. Scattered showers, maybe a storm or two. Still not really looking too impressive for Wednesday either, but this can definitely fluctuate a little bit between model run and model run. These summertime pop-up storms, a little bit unpredictable in their nature. They just kind of pop up where they please. So we could see maybe a better coverage by the next model run. Overall, I'm still kind of keeping it at a general 20 to 30% chance of seeing rain. And once again, that does mean that you're going to have a 70 to 80% chance that you don't see anything in the way of rain. But if you do catch a shower, it will at least give you a little bit of some relief in terms of the blistering heat and humidity. So we go all the way to Thursday morning right now. You must think, okay, same song and dance. He's just going to tell me it's a dry first half of the morning. The afternoon, scattered chances of rain. You may see rain, you may not. Well, Thursday is a little bit different. We do see a little bit of a driving force with some potential showers and storms. Now, number one, this is still pretty scattered, not necessarily too organized like a continuous line that we typically see ahead of a frontal boundary. This is just going to be more widely scattered as opposed to you're generally scattered. And obviously, you're saying scattered twice. What's the difference between the two? When I say widely scattered, it's just going to impact more areas than it would during a typical, very isolated day. So the rain chances we have for today and tomorrow, definitely more isolated in nature, but going into Thursday, a lot more widely scattered with some pockets of heavier rain. A couple of storms will be possible. Going into Thursday afternoon, this timing may be right around lunchtime all the way into about 4 or 5 o'clock, starting to get a little bit of calming in activity, but it does look like areas all around us have a better chance of some stronger weather, maybe some of those dark reds like you see just around Montgomery. Once again, can't get too locked into the specific location because this front is going to push through and it's going to be a driving force for some potential stronger weather. However, it is going to slowly make its progress through the state of Georgia. An emphasis on that slowly because it may just hang out immediately down to the south of us or in our neck of the woods for Friday and maybe even on into Saturday. But as far as future view goes right now is 3 a.m. on Friday. Still rain chances that are trying to hang into the picture. And if this was to go out another hour, 2 or 3, these showers that you do see currently would more than likely just fizzle out. But it does look like a better chance at rain on Thursday. Well, the SPC has taken note of this, and they have outlooked the northern half of central Georgia in a level 1 out of 5 risk for seeing some strong or some severe weather. This is just due to the fact that it's not the general pop-up showers and storms that we see each and every day. This is going to be driven by some kind of a force, and that force is going to be the cold front. So a little bit more organization goes into this, and this front does have a lot of lift ahead of it, and that's going to be a key ingredient for some potential stronger or severe weather. So this is covering the bases. It doesn't change the forecast from what I just said. You're still going to see widely scattered rain, some pockets of some heavier rain, which can include a stronger or maybe even a severe thunderstorm warning or two. But if we are to see an uptick in maybe this risk or some of the language that we're seeing, then obviously we will reciprocate that and we will communicate that with you. But right now, as it does stand, it's just going to be a little bit more widespread than we typically see on a summer day. That's what's in store for your Thursday afternoon. So let's talk about those afternoon high temperatures. Yes, it's still on Thursday. Even if we're getting an earlier start, we are forecasted to warm up to maybe around 93 degrees. But today and tomorrow, still, they have lower temperatures. I mean, they're not too far off. I'm picking at straws here once again, 93 as opposed to 92 and 91. You're probably saying, Alex, they don't really feel all that different. We're in the 90s. That's all I need to know. But the humidity is going to be a factor throughout the next 2 days, maybe a little bit more so than Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I did mention that cold front, and what happens when a cold front moves through? You normally say, yes, the colder air filters in. That doesn't really happen this time of year. In the summertime months, we may get a little bit of a cool down, but it's more so the drier air that will make its presence known. And that drier air could give us a slight reprieve on those dew point temperatures. A little bit of that muggy air could get pushed out of the picture. So the feels like numbers wouldn't be as bad even if our temperatures were continuing to climb. However, they still are probably going to hover a couple degrees above, but maybe not necessarily flirting with the triple digits, maybe a little bit lower in the mid to upper 90s. Overall, it is essentially going to be a hot and a humid next 5 days, because take a look at our humidity day by day. We are seeing a pretty good downtick after today, according to the Muggy meter. I still think we're probably going to hover a little bit above what these do say. Like I said, we saw some dew points in Cordial, Unadilla just a second ago. They would definitely classify above this very dark green category, and it would go above where the meteogram does go. So I think we'll see mainly hovering somewhere right on that line, upper 60s and some low 70s for the dew point temperatures, seeing some shades of light green, seeing some shades of dark green. And if you do have the dark green, you're going to be probably more susceptible to seeing something in the way of a pop-up shower or even a storm. But it's going to kind of teeter-totter. As we go into the weekend, we're trying to get a little bit of slightly drier air heading into Saturday, Sunday, maybe into Monday. But it is going to kind of have a little bit of a battleground between that light green and that dark green. They're going to clash with one another. So like I said, maybe a little bit of a downtick, maybe not much. So it could be influencing our feels like temperatures. You'll just kind of want to root for the rain. But here's what our graphic does say, and it's definitely undershooting it for today. 95 and 94 in Macon and Dublin. Pretty sure Dublin's already above this, and this is 5 hours into the future if they don't see anything in the way of rain. So I do believe upper 90s, near 100 for those heat indices today. Not only today, I believe we'll overshoot it once again for your Wednesday afternoon. And then going into Thursday afternoon, if that rain does arrive a little bit earlier, we will warm up. However, it will be pretty widespread on Thursday afternoon, so hopefully we'll be quick to see some sort of a cool down and at least get those feels like numbers to more bearable territory. Somewhere in the 80s would be fine, and if you really get some continuous rain, numbers in the 70s would be great by all means. So let's go to the long-range models. I did mention that front comes through very slowly. Well, it's going to kind of stall just down to the south of us, maybe just right here around us. So everywhere to the south of that boundary is going to have the chance for, once again, maybe some widely scattered rain as it goes into Friday afternoon. So I would still plan on maybe some rain chances for Friday afternoon, maybe still hanging in the picture for your Saturday afternoon, but still looking a little bit better each and every day. How about Sunday? Still not seeing much in the way of these green and these blue shades very widespread over the state of Georgia, but they are there. And then going into Monday afternoon, not seeing much whatsoever in the way of rain. The GFS right here in green is hinting at maybe some rain to the north and northeast of us, but the European is not buying that whatsoever. So it's a little uncertain as we go that far out, but the chances are looking a lot more scattered, and we are seeing a good amount of disagreement. So that's why I've gone with some rain chances that are decreasing as we head into the beginning of next week. So let's break it down. 7-day forecast, 30% today and tomorrow. Very similar to what I had forecasted yesterday. Again, you may see rain, you may not. Probably a greater likelihood that you don't. Very scattered in nature, very isolated in nature, meaning that one end of the county, you could see dark clouds over, you could see some heavy downpours off in the distance, but you might be nice and partly sunny. So it's all just going to depend on what kind of environment and what kind of atmosphere that these showers are running into. But you can't rule out a couple rumbles of thunder this time of year, although I do believe today and tomorrow we're looking to stay below severe criteria. But it still can happen. It's just looking like mainly weaker thunderstorms in nature, not going to have as much to work with. Now Thursday, you do see the uptick to 40%. I probably would go backtrack that now and I would put a 60% because I do believe the rain chances on Thursday are looking the best out of any of the next 7 days, because Friday, things still a little bit uncertain about how far that front does try to push down. So 30% chance of a shower or storm Friday. That exists for Saturday too. And then really seeing rain chances scatter out as we go into Sunday and Monday. But note one thing, you do see these temperatures on the top right of each and every box. Take a look at how the rain chances decrease and take a look at how some of these temperatures start to increase a degree or two. That's going to be because not really forecasting much in the way of cloud cover or not forecasting much in the way of rain chances, so that would allow us to warm up a little bit more. Right now, this timing of scattered showers and storms each and every day, it's popping up just before that window where we start to creep into the warmest temperature of the day. So it isn't allowing us to get as warm as we absolutely could. Well, we're just going to continue to probably see those numbers climb as we head into next week. It's getting into the month of June, late into the month of June, in fact, and by then it will officially be the summer season. So it was only a matter of time before we really got the heat and the humidity. We've already been feeling it for a couple of days, but it looks to be here to stay for the next week ahead. Like I said, make sure you're staying hydrated, applying sunscreen. If you're getting tired, you're getting quite exhausted, sweating a lot when you are outside, make sure you have a way to cool down. Get those shaded areas, jump in the pool, or just try to spend some time inside. Maybe a break in the AC will do all of those wonders. I know a lot of people like to get out and burn those calories, take a little midday run, but if it does get a little bit unbearable for you, the last thing that you want to do is get heat exhausted and get those heat illnesses. So continue to take care of your body and continue to take care of your furry friends, like I always emphasize, because if it's too hot for you, then it is definitely too hot for them. But I did mention we're going to incorporate a little bit of tropics into this. It is hurricane season. It has just been a very quiet start to hurricane season. So here's the latest update from the National Hurricane Center, at least in the Atlantic Basin, from 8 a.m. this morning. You will still see some very faint areas of this kind of light brown. That's still going to be your Saharan dust that is pushing off the western coast of Africa. So the Saharan dust is really inhibiting tropical system formation. We see plenty of clouds down to the south of this, but not looking at any waves necessarily of clusters of showers and thunderstorms that can move off the coast, interact with some of this warm Atlantic water, and then start to get its shape and start to organize. So things are looking all good off the coast of Africa, but we do know that hurricanes and tropical systems don't just form off the western coast of Africa. How about the Caribbean Sea, the Gulf? Those are two areas that we saw hurricanes like Hurricane Milton, Hurricane Helene last year form in. Well, it does look like we can still see a good, maybe faint light brown hue over here, but things are relatively quiet in the Caribbean. You're going to get your scattered cloud cover just about everywhere in the Caribbean. It's the tropics. You're warm, you're humid. It's just kind of like our forecast right now, just a little bit on steroids down there. And the Gulf is looking relatively quiet right now. However, you do notice over here in the Eastern Pacific, they are just quite active already. This Central American gyre has been spitting out storm and system after system. A lot of them haven't really had any impacts towards land masses, but I do believe they're already maybe on the letter D, the letter E in their list. So they have already gotten about 4 or 5 named storms over there in the Eastern Pacific. Us in the Atlantic, we haven't even squeaked at really getting the chance of trying to get the letter A in nature. So maybe we'll pick up and we'll catch back up the pace as we go throughout the next couple of months. I definitely know that we'll get our fair share of some active periods in terms of the tropics. But like I told you, the tropics typically don't really get going until you start to transition into the month of August. That's where we're starting to spit out system after system every couple of days or so. That peak of hurricane season is on September 10th. So that's going to be the frequency all time that the most tropical systems are going to be present. After that, the frequency will go down, but we still see our fair share of activity into September and into early October. Hence Hurricane Helene last year, Hurricane Michael, that was in early October a couple years back. So that's the time frame that we're really keeping our eye on. Typically June and July are relatively quiet, but it wasn't the case last year. Hurricane Beryl was rolling through around July 4th in areas of the Caribbean, eventually made its way over Cancun and impacted areas of Texas, and went all the way up to Maine and sprouted tornado warnings for basically almost a continuous stretch from Texas all the way up to Maine. So we'll be on the lookout for a storm like that because it's not out of the realm of the possibility, but the Saharan dust is really helping inhibit tropical development right now. So we are going to be very thankful for that. but all is quiet with the tropics, nothing to fret about there. We just really are trying to nail down our summertime forecast. But like I said, just plan on Thursday being that day, the best chance of seeing your next shower, maybe even your next storm in nature, going to be very scattered throughout the next couple of days and into the beginning of the weekend. Hopefully we can really get the rain chances out of here for at least a day or two, so you don't have to deal with me saying scattered showers and storms each and every morning when you're watching the morning show. But that's going to be a more frequent forecast as we're heading into the official start of summer on Friday. So go ahead and get used to it and root for some of that rain, at least in shower form, because it will cool you down from this blistering heat and the humidity. So that will do it for your extended forecast. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back here once again tomorrow on 13 WMAZ Plus for a look at what's ahead.